Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are covering section 4.4, part A, parallel and perpendicular lines, and we're just going to talk about parallel lines today, okay? Hopefully, after watching this video, you should be able to write the equation of a line based on a point on that line and another line that is parallel to it. There's your point, there's your parallel line. You got to find these two lines. Definition of parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. You're going to want to write that definition down. Parallel lines are two lines that never intersect, which means if they never intersect, their slopes have to be the same. Okay? Two lines have the same slope, they will never intersect. Think one line, it goes up a certain amount, over a certain amount. Another line goes up the same amount, over the same amount. Every time one goes up, the other one goes up. Every time the other one goes over, the other one goes over. They never touch. Two lines that never intersect have the same slope. Definition of parallel lines. Okay? Write that down if you haven't already. Here we go. These are the types of problems you're going to get. It's going to say write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through this point. In this case, it's -4, 5, and is parallel to the graph of y equals 2x minus 4. Now let's think to what we were doing earlier in chapter 3, but the part of chapter 3 that was section 4.1. Okay, so this was, I want to say, the third part of chapter 3. What I was doing, what I gave you to do, was I'd say, here's a slope, here's an intercept, plug it in. Okay, that's your y equals mxb, that's your slope-intercept form, and you were good to go. Then I gave you the slope and an x and a y so that you could find the y-intercept. Okay, so you still had to find m, find b. Then I didn't even give you m. You had to find it from 2 points. So you had to find m yourself, then you had to find b, then you had your m and your b and you plugged them in. Now we're doing that same thing. I'm going to give you the information that you need to identify an m, plug in x and y to find b, and then plug in m and b to get the equation for a new line. We are still doing the same thing. I'm just giving you different information to start off with. That's what this section and the next section are going to be about. Just a new way to get that same information. What's the m of the line I want the equation for? What's the b of the line that I want the equation for? Okay. So step one, and I apologize, I don't know why they're all step one, but let's use some imagination. Step one here is to identify the type of slope that we're going to need to find m. And when we're dealing with parallel lines, whatever our first slope is has to be equal to our new slope. So I'm using what are called subscript here. Subscripts are just labels. I don't do anything with those numbers. It's the same as like when we have x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. Well, here I've got m1, which is the slope of the first line, has to equal m2, the slope of the second line. That's the one that we're trying to find. M1 is the slope that the problem gives us. So right here, we have M1, which is 2. That has to be equal to our new slope, which will also be 2. So again, what am I doing? I'm giving you a slope right here. I'm saying it's going to be the same as this line. And then I'm giving you a point. Here's x, here's y. So we write down our y equals mx plus b, and I always like to say, if we're doing these y equals mx b problems, start off by writing y equals mx plus b, but then plug in what we know. And if we think about it, we know that y is 5. We know that m is the same as it is over here, just the m. Okay, so there's our 2, m is 2. And then we know x is -4. So plug in what we know. Y is 5, m is 2, x is -4, and we don't know what b is. This is the most common mistake with these problems, is they'll go, oh, b is -4. No, we're trying to find a new b because we're trying to find a new line. So we need to find that new b, but the slope is the same, so we plug in the slope. What's y? 5. What's m? 2. What's x? -4. And that's all gotten from the original problem. Once we're here, everything's back to what it was before. We are now finding b. Move my face out of the way. We find b. Multiply 2 times -4 is -8. Add 8 to both sides. opposite operation, and b is 13. And then once we've done that, we're right back where we were. We've got m, we've got b, m is 2, b is 13, plug them in, and we're set. Y equals 2x plus 13. Again, we already knew what m was because we knew m had to be the same in our new equation as it was in the old equation, right here. And then we've used that information to find the new b, so we plugged it back in. We're done. Okay? Again, this is a new section, but we're doing the same stuff we were doing before. We haven't really changed our goal. We're just going about it a different way with different information, but it's still the same process, even though all my steps will label to step 1. Okay? Pause, rewind if you need to, go back on this one. And then, once you've got this one down, try this problem. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, all my face is black as the word continue. See? It's the same process. Okay, you've got an equation of the line that passes through the point 4, -1. Here's your x, here's your y. Is parallel to means they have the same slope as this line. What's the slope of this line? Y equals 1/4 x plus 7. If you said 1/4, you'd be correct. Okay, so here's x, here's y, here's m. Plug it all in, see what you come up with. Olivet College. Never thought I'd be giving them a shout out, but I think for the last chapter here we're gonna do MIAA football schools I played with. I like to point out Olivet first because they're one of 2 teams we were undefeated against in my 4 years, and I enjoy that. We went 4-0. We went 4-0 against Olivet College. We went 4-0 against Olivet College. Don't worry, I'll tell you about the teams we lost to too. All right. After that, you should be good to go. Here's what I came up with. I want you to compare with what you came up with. Okay. First, we identify. I gotta keep my mouse still here. We identify that m1 is m2 is 1/4, right? We talked about this already. The slope of the original line was 1/4, so the slope of our new line is going to be 1/4. Plug in what we know. We know that y is -1. We know that m is 1/4. We know that x is 4, and we don't know b, so that's what we have to leave, and that's what we have to solve. Multiply 1/4 of 4 is just 1. Subtract 1 from both sides, and b is -2. Ignore that line. I don't know why it's there. I was able to use an old slideshow for this one, but I had to make a new video, so sorry. We know the slope is 1/4. Slope is 1/4. We know the new b is -2. I stopped moving the mouse, and you can see our final answer should be y equals 1/4 x minus 2. Okay? That is it. Okay? That's all we're doing for this chunk of homework. I believe there's 6 problems, and you're doing exactly that all 6 times. Look at the x, look at the y that I give you. Look at the line that I give you. Plug in the slope from that line into the new line. Plug in the x from the old line, or from the new line, the y from the new line, and you're just right back to where we were for section 4.1. Okay? Should be a pretty straightforward lesson, but as always, reach out for any questions you have. Check the video again, complete your exit ticket. Olivet, 4-0, go Scots. You guys have a wonderful night. I love you.